Jackson Briggs wakes up on the floor next to his bed with severe ringing in his ears. He previously served in a U.S. Army Ranger Regiment and participated in the Iraq conflict, but was discharged due to a brain injury. In the civilian world, he grudgingly works at a roadside cafe, fulfilling his job duties.
Yo, are you high? I said peppers, not cucumbers.
The ex-ranger hopes to rejoin the Army as soon as possible. He regularly sends his medical reports to the draft board and frequently calls to inquire about the results. During these phone calls, however, he only hears denials. One day, the Captain Jones calls to inform him of the death of his partner. He invites Jackson to attend a memorial service for his fellow Rangers. The veteran agrees. On top of that, our character is facing financial difficulties. On his way to the ceremony, he buys an instant lottery ticket. At the bar, all the Rangers get very drunk and start singing Army songs. Briggs approaches his former co-workers and asks them to put in a good word for him at the draft board, but no one wants to. On the street, he helps a captain carry a drunken Marine to his car and takes the opportunity to ask him to take him back to the corps. The guy argues that every Ranger in this place has a wound, but they still continue to serve.
Maybe check your email. I got a full clean medical.
Yeah, how would you pay for that?
The captain is adamant and orders the guy to go home. Desperate, Briggs gets down on his knees and begs to be reinstated, but the captain just leaves. The next morning, Jones wakes up our character and orders him to stay at the location of the course in 30 minutes. Arriving at the base, Briggs' mood improves dramatically. He follows the captain with anticipation, eager to hear the briefing and begin the long-awaited task. As Guy approaches the locker with his late partner's belongings, he is informed of his assignment. All he has to do is take the service dog to the funeral. The dog belonged to the late Rodriguez and must be present at the ceremony. In addition, Briggs must deliver the deceased Ranger's personal effects to his family.
Wait, what?
On the way to the kennel, the captain also informs Briggs that the dog will have to be put down after the funeral. The animal has become aggressive and uncontrollable after serving in the war. Our character agrees, but on the condition that the captain helps him sign a new contract with the Army. Briggs enters the enclosure to secure the leash, but when he tries to pet Lulu, the dog lunges at him.
Hey man, I forgot to tell you not to touch her on the ears, man.
Before he leaves, he is given a short briefing on how to handle the animal. If he encounters any difficulties, he is advised to consult the diary kept by the late Rodriguez. On the way, Briggs decides to stop at the shooting range for some practice. After parking the car, he approaches the cage and, using a rag to protect his hand, removes the dog's muzzle. Lulu tries to bite him, but he manages to close the cage at the very last moment. After a few shots, Briggs develops a severe headache. He takes medication to ease the pain and continues his training. Meanwhile, Lulu manages to free herself from the cage in the car. When Briggs returns, he finds the dog chewing on the passenger seat. He buys a sausage, puts a sleeping pill in it, and throws it in the car. The dog sleeps peacefully in the trunk for the rest of the day. In the evening, Briggs decides to stop at a bar, hoping to spend a pleasant night with a stranger. However, each time the girls discover that he is an ex-military man, they reject him. After leaving the bar, our character gives Lulu some water and tries to feed her from his hand as a gesture of reconciliation. However, the dog becomes angry and refuses to eat from his hand. Two dog lovers walk by, notice Lulu, and approach the guy to get acquainted.
This is Lucy. This is Maggie.
They're great. I love Shih Tzus.
Girls invited Briggs to their home. They have a drink together and begin to perform a tantric ritual to ease the guy's heartache. Meanwhile, Lulu is left alone again, locked in the car. She begins to whimper and bark loudly. A man passing by notices the distressed dog and tries to rescue her. The dog's barking interrupts the ritual, and Briggs goes outside to calm Lulu down. When he reaches the car, he sees the stranger smash the window with a rock, and the dog attacks his savior, biting his hand.
Where are you guys going? What about my pain?
The rest of the evening is ruined for Guy. He has to spend the night in the car with the dog. After waking up in the morning, they continue their journey. Along the way, Briggs talks to Lulu and brags that although he was discharged from the Army, he managed to get back into the service, while Lulu would be given a lethal injection after being discharged. Hearing this, the dog becomes agitated. She slips out of her collar, jumps out of a broken car window, and runs into the woods. Briggs chases after her and accidentally stumbles into a greenhouse where marijuana is being grown.
Dog?
After some time, the guy wakes up tied to a chair in the middle of a barn. The owner of the greenhouse has mistaken Briggs for a thief trying to steal his unique plant varieties. When the owner leaves him unattended, the guy is able to escape his captivity. He grabs an axe and enters the house, hoping to find the dog. Inside, he discovers Lulu happily taking food from the landlady's hand. The dog is treated well and shows affection in return.
Gus, apologize.
Sorry, dude. My bad.
While running in the woods, Lulu injures her leg. The landlady offers to keep the dog for a while to treat the wound. She gives Briggs and her husband lollipops and asks them to wait outside. Sitting in the garden, Gus reads through Lulu's war diary and asks about her exploits. He learns that the dog was trained to sniff out drugs, which is why she jumped out of the car when she smelled a familiar scent. After successfully treating the dog's wound, Lulu happily runs around the yard. Sensing Lulu's anxiety, the landlady offers to communicate with her telepathically. She tells Briggs that she sees Lulu surrounded by children and imagines a little girl playing with her.
I think it might be your daughter. A boy's name.
Sam.
The landlady also reveals that Lulu has never slept in a soft bed, which is her dream. After saying goodbye to the nice couple, Briggs and Lulu continue their journey. As they spend more time together on the road, they begin to form a stronger bond. With Lulu's scheduled euthanasia only 3 days away, Briggs decides to fulfill one of her wishes. He puts on sunglasses and takes Lulu to an expensive hotel, where he pretends to be a blind war veteran at the front desk. Out of pity, the staff gives him and Lulu a deluxe room for free. They take a bath together, and later food is brought to their room. However, Lulu still refuses to take food from Guy's hands. In the evening, Briggs plans to go for a walk, but Lulu won't be left alone and starts acting out and whining. The guy is forced to take her with him. Getting off the elevator, our character is distracted by flirting with a pretty staff girl. At that moment, left unattended, Lulu attacks a man dressed in a traditional Arab costume.
Oh my God, I can see.
As a result, Briggs is arrested for fraud and Lulu is taken to Animal Control Department. While talking to the guard, Briggs learns that he will be held until Monday unless the victim presses charges. That means he won't make it to the funeral on Sunday. The next day, there is an identification where the guy tries to solve the problem quickly. He admits his guilt and tries to justify Lulu's behavior.
She was trained to attack guys that looked like Dr. Al-Farid.
After hearing his explanation, the victim decides not to press charges. Instead, he asks Briggs to see a therapist after the funeral and undergo a full course of treatment. Stranded, Briggs agrees to the deal. The main character is given a dog, and together they continue their journey. Since they have some free time, Briggs decides to make a stop on the way to Los Angeles. While going through Lulu's diary, he discovers that her brother Nuke lives nearby and decides he also has relatives in this city. Having arrived in Los Angeles, Briggs stops near the house where a girl and her young daughter live. Seeking advice from the dog on what to wear, he picks up a stuffed animal and plucks up the courage to approach the door of the house.
Mommy, who's Bill?
It's just one of Mommy's friends.
However, he soon returns to the car and gives the toy to Lulu to play with.
Okay, dog. I've tried my family, let's try yours.
The couple later visit Noah, who took in Lulu's brother after he was discharged from the army. It took him 6 months to acclimate the dog to a peaceful life in his family. Now, Nuke enjoys playing with children and shows no aggression toward people. During their conversation, Noah offers valuable advice on how to handle dogs like Lulu. He assures Briggs that Lulu is not beyond hope and just needs the right approach. Our character thanks Noah for his hospitality and prepares to continue his journey. When he reaches the car, he discovers that it has been broken into. His pills in a backpack containing the belongings of his deceased friend, which he was supposed to deliver to the family, have been stolen.
Lulu, seek.
The ex-rangers, aided by their dogs, begin to track down the culprit. Lulu easily finds the stolen items, which lead her to a tent in a roaming campground. A homeless man wearing Rodriguez's uniform approaches them and identifies himself as a fellow veteran, before trying to chase them away. In anger, Briggs overpowers the man and takes back his jacket. All belongings are recovered and the group returns to the car. On the way, Noah draws a comparison between himself and that homeless man. Explaining it in their line of work, one must know when to stop. Otherwise, one risks descending into madness, living under a bridge or crashing headlong into a tree like Eschat Rodriguez.
Bye, Lulu.
Say hi to your daddy for me.
Our characters continue their journey, driving through the night due to the delay caused by the theft. Along the way, Briggs talks to Lulu, reminiscing about his partner and the time they served together. Suddenly, smoke begins to billow from under the hood of the car. Stranded on a dark country road, they are left without a vehicle, no cell phone reception, and caught in a heavy downpour. Briggs decides to continue on foot. They come across a hangar and he goes inside, hoping to find help, but the place is empty. When thunder rumbles in the distance, Lulu immediately becomes frightened and starts acting anxious. She refuses to leave the hangar. Our character realizes that if they don't leave, they may not make it to the ceremony in time, which would mean failing the mission and missing out on signing the long-awaited army contract. The guy starts to get angry, but decides to give in to the dog anyway. They sit next to each other, and Briggs reads diary to her to calm her down. In response, Lulu takes food from his hand for the first time. In the early morning, the rain stops and our characters continue their journey. Farmers pick them up along the way and drive them to the burial site. The ceremony is already underway when Briggs approaches the mourners with Lulu on a leash. He is worried that the dog will be aggressive, but instead, Lulu smells her former master's belongings and begins to whimper, interrupting the reading of the eulogy. The guy untangles the leash and Lulu calmly walks over to Rodriguez's shoes and lies down beside them. The sight brings tears to the deceased ranger's mother's eyes. After the ceremony, Briggs gives his friend's belongings to his parents and bids them farewell. Later, a mechanic repairs the car of our character, and he calls the captain. In a phone call, Briggs begs the captain not to euthanize Lulu, explaining that she has changed and is no longer aggressive. However, the captain informs him that the decision regarding Lulu has already been made and that Briggs should simply follow the given order. The character takes Lulu out of town, unlocks her collar, and tries to drive her away. But the dog refuses to obey and jumps back into the car. By evening, the guy is heavily intoxicated and unable to decide what to do.
You got no idea, do you?
At night, Briggs wakes up from another migraine attack. He cannot take his pills because they have been stolen by a homeless man. The guy goes to the bathroom to drink water, falls to the floor, and starts convulsing. Lulu hears this and comes over and lies down next to him. Her presence helps to calm him down and relieve some of his pain. Briggs stays on the floor until morning. When he wakes up, he gathers his things and takes Lulu to the base for the scheduled procedure. Upon arrival, however, he is told to muzzle the dog because they are aware of her aggressive tendencies. The guy asks the guard to have the vet examine Lulu again, since she has calmed down considerably. Then he muzzles her and hands her over to the guard. As Briggs drives away, he sees Lulu struggling and whimpering, desperately trying to follow him. Unable to stand it, he returns and informs the guard that he forgot to put a vest on the dog that would help her stay calm. Briggs puts Lulu back in the car, takes the wheel, and drives off.
You forgot your ID.
You know what, man? Why don't you keep it?
In time, our character got a contract from the military to keep the dog. He begins attending veterans' meetings, makes new friends, and even reconciles with his ex-wife. At the end of the movie, as he sits on the beach in the evening, he fills in Lulu's diary and expresses his gratitude for saving his life. Thank you to everyone who watched until the end. On this channel, you will always find retellings of good movies.